The morning was gray, with a heavy sky, when I arrived at the ruin. The sun, distant and timid, seemed to resist the dense fog that stretched across the forest, as if trying to hide the secrets of that place. With every step I took, the hard ground creaked, as if protesting my presence. The absolute silence surrounded me, and the only thing breaking this unsettling peace was my own footsteps. At first glance, the ruin didn't seem large. With broken stone walls and fallen columns, it was merely a shadow of what it had once been. But something in that landscape attracted me, a mystery I couldn't ignore, as if the very earth was calling me to uncover what lay hidden there. That was when I found it. In the center of the ruin, among the fragmented stones and moss-covered ground, there was a hole. Not just any hole. It was perfectly round, as though it had been carved by someone's hand, and its edges were impossible to discern because the darkness inside seemed to swallow everything. At first, I thought it was just a natural cave, but something told me it wasn't that simple. The sound of the wind, which had been constant, suddenly stopped. I approached cautiously, feeling a growing pressure in my chest, a sense that I was being watched. The stones around the hole felt colder than usual, as if something in the air had altered the temperature. I looked closer and realized the bottom of the hole was not visible. It was as though it were too deep, endless. Yet, my curiosity won. The exhaustion of days without finding anything significant in my digs made me forget, for a moment, the strangeness of that hole. The fine line between fear and the desire to discover what lay inside made me take a step closer. My hands trembled, but not from the cold. Something else touched me in a more subtle way, a feeling that I shouldn't be there. But there was no turning back. That was when a cold breeze rose from the bottom of the hole. It was strange, as if it carried a whisper, almost inaudible, but it made me shiver. I didn't know why, but I knew the hole was calling me, as if it had some connection to me. Something was moving in the shadows, and I had the feeling that by descending, I wouldn't return the same way. I was frozen at the edge of the hole. The breeze rising from its depths seemed to touch my soul, and a growing sense of dread took over me. I looked around, as if expecting something to emerge from the shadows, some explanation to suddenly appear and justify that mystery. But the only thing I found was silence, that absolute silence, heavy, as if the very place was watching me. The temptation to descend was irresistible. I didn't know what awaited me below, but something inside me whispered that it was necessary, like an invisible force pulling at my will. I found myself touching the edge of the hole, the cold stone running through my fingers, sending a deep shiver down my spine. I knew this wasn't natural, but the need to understand what was happening there was stronger than any fear. I took a deep breath and, without hesitating any longer, took the first step. The sound of my feet stepping on the stones echoed in a muffled way, as if the hole was swallowing every sound as I descended. The darkness grew as I went deeper, until the daylight seemed like a distant dream. I had the sense that the space around me was expanding, stretching in a way that defied logic. As I moved forward, the hole began to change. The stone walls started to reveal strange symbols, carved with almost supernatural precision. They seemed to move, shifting forms before my eyes, as if they were alive. My fingers contracted as I touched them, feeling a vibration that didn't come from the physical world. With each step I took, the sense of unease grew, but curiosity urged me to continue. I reached a point where there was no longer solid stone beneath my feet. The fall, which had seemed inevitable before, now felt like a sensation of suspension. I was in a vast but enclosed space, as if I had crossed into another realm, something distant and forgotten. A faint blade of light came from somewhere, but I couldn't locate its source. The silence that had once dominated me was shattered by a distant sound, almost imperceptible, a murmur. At first, I thought it was my mind, overwhelmed by exhaustion, playing tricks on me. But soon the sound intensified. It was words or something like them, but so distorted that I couldn't comprehend. It was closer now, seemed to be calling me. I didn't want to listen, but at the same time, I couldn't pull away anymore. The sound reverberated in my mind, as if the very echoes of that ruin were trying to communicate with me. That was when I saw it. In the center of what appeared to be an altar, a shadow moved, as if it had a life of its own. The figure was undefined, a presence flickering between human and something entirely alien. Fear took over me completely. My body trembled, but I couldn't move anymore. It was as if the space around me was shrinking, the hole no longer just a crack in the earth, but a gateway to something much older and more malevolent. The shadow moved closer, slowly, and something inside me knew the true nature of that place was about to be revealed. The shadow approached, its contours warping like mist that dissipated and reformed with each step. I couldn't move. Fear, like a tangible force, held my body, as if the very ground was keeping me in place. The figure, now clearer, began to take shape, an undefined entity that dematerialized and rematerialized. But its eyes made of pure darkness, were fixed on me. I knew, somehow, that this was the manifestation of the whole. It was alive. I didn't know what to expect, but something deep inside me, something ancient, told me that the only way to leave this place was to face the truth that the whole had been hiding. The entity seemed to smile, but it was a smile that carried centuries of suffering and unspoken secrets. I could feel the weight of all the pain that this ruin had witnessed. The air grew denser, and I felt as if I was being swallowed by time itself. A voice, deep and distorted, echoed in my mind. It wasn't a physical sound, but a presence that came from within the whole, infiltrating every part of me. It spoke in a strange tongue, its words reverberating like an ancient whisper. You are here, and now you will never leave. What you sought is what has always awaited you. I didn't understand, but something in that moment lit up inside me. An impulse. The need to understand what was hidden in that hole, what it kept that was so evil and powerful. The weight of the revelation hit me like a wave. The hole was not just a physical fissure, but a door to something greater, something that existed beyond human comprehension. It was a prison, but also a key. The entity, sensing my resistance, moved closer. Its form began to dissolve into a dark substance, as if merging with the stones around me. At that moment, the whole seemed to swallow everything, the light, the air, even my very existence. The pressure was unbearable, my vision blurred. The only thing I could do was look into the depths of the hole and try to hold on to some thread of hope. Then the truth was revealed. The hole wasn't just a gap in the earth. It was a vessel, a capsule where that which existed beyond human understanding had been imprisoned for generations. It wasn't just a hole, but a living space, a guardian of an eternal curse. And I, by chance, had fallen into it. Before the darkness consumed me completely, one last image appeared in my mind. The face of a man who seemed familiar, but whom I knew I had never seen before. He looked at me, not with surprise, but with a bitter resignation. He, too, had descended, just like me, and now he was part of it. It was the price to be paid. And then everything went dark. Silence reclaimed its dominion, and I never knew what happened afterward.